Well, hello. I'm Kim Fredrickson. I do a patient blog at pulmonaryfibrosisnews.com. And the blog I'm doing today is about options for supplemental oxygen use at home. And I have learned through the School of Hard Knocks about different options, and I just really want to pass that on to you. So I actually am going to share with you a couple of different oxygen options that I am using at home and have used, in hopes that it will just make it more clear and that it will give you a really good idea of what is out there for you as far as using supplemental oxygen at home. And I wanted to tell you one thing. You're going to see that two of the machines that I'm going to show you I actually own. But just so you don't think I'm made of money, when I first started oxygen use, my insurance company would not pay for my oxygen. I had an individual plan, and in their policy under durable medical equipment, which is where they talk about what they'll pay for oxygen-wise, under durable medical equipment, they did not consider oxygen an essential item, which of course is insane because oxygen is quite essential. But because it was in their policy, I was not able to get them to pay for it. I actually took them to the state board of insurance in my state and was not successful. So I had to buy my own equipment. And a small machine I bought on credit and took like over a year to pay it off. And the bigger machine I actually bought, I had to retire from my counseling practice as a marriage and family therapist of 30 years. And I had a fundraiser, and I sold my professional library and all of the counseling items that I had used over the years for teaching and counseling and all kinds of stuff. I had a big party, and I sold everything in order to buy the big machine. So I got resourceful because my insurance company wouldn't pay for it. So I have a couple of things I can show you because of that. So I hope this is really helpful. I'm just going to kind of walk around my house and show you the different things that I have used. And I hope it will be helpful for you. Okay, here we go. Okay, so in a minute I'm going to show you two options for oxygen concentrators. The first part of my blog post actually talks about using gas cylinders for oxygen use at home. Now, I don't have any of those to show you because I don't use them. They're probably the most common. But I have a picture in my blog that you can see what those look like. So we're going to switch now to the two different concentrators that I use. Okay, so right here is a small machine by Inogen, who is a fabulous company. And this is an oxygen concentrator that goes from 1 to 5 liters per minute of oxygen. And oxygen concentrators take the air in the room and they get rid of all the nitrogen and some other chemicals in the air, and they concentrate it and they send it back to you through a nasal cannula so that you're actually using oxygen that is a higher level than exists in the air on its own. So this only goes to 5, so I actually don't use it anymore, but I used it for quite a while. And the one really great thing about it was when I was traveling, when I could still fly on a commercial plane, I wrapped it in plastic and plastic bubble wrap, and I could put it in a suitcase and actually ship it to wherever, put it on the plane with me to wherever I was going. So it's not very noisy. The thing you're hearing in the background is the other machine. It's not very noisy, and it's pretty lightweight, and that's the one that I bought over time. Okay, now I'm going to go up here, and you're going to see this big moker. It's a Millennium M10, and it's pretty heavy. I think it's probably like 55 pounds or something. I'm not 100% sure. I know it's heavy. And this is an oxygen concentrator that I'm using right now, and it actually goes up to 10 liters per minute, and it puts out quite a bit of heat and noise. So we have it over in the corner in our kitchen. And in the winter, it's fine that it puts out heat, But in the summer, it really heats up the house. And we live in Northern California where it's already hot. So in the summer, we actually put it in our bathroom with the fan on to get rid of the heat and send it out through the top of the roof. So you can see on the left there, it has a little dial, and right now it's on about 7.5 liters per minute, which is what I'm using right now. And the reason I'm using it, I'm going to show you liquid oxygen in a minute, but I'm using this because the liquid oxygen that I have does not last me the full week between when they come and fill up my liquid oxygen. So every day I use this for 3 or 4 hours just to make sure that my liquid oxygen lasts for the rest of the week. So right now I'm using it, and it is a little bit noisy, but it's fine over in the corner. And in a couple of, maybe a month, we'll probably put it back in the bathroom when it gets to be too hot. But it's a really solid machine. It works really well, and this is the one that I bought myself by selling everything I owned and used in my counseling practice. And that was because my insurance company would not pay for it. Okay, so now we're going to go over and look at where I have liquid oxygen. Okay, so these are my 2 big tanks of liquid oxygen. They actually are about 4 feet tall. When they're not filled, they weigh about 65 pounds. When they are filled, they weigh about 160 pounds. And so fortunately, my husband and I do not fill them. The oxygen company comes comes every Monday, and they roll them out. They are on a little roller. They roll them outside to their huge truck, fill them up, and roll them back in. And there's a couple things I want to show you up close about them. So you'll see that each of them has a bottle here, and that is condensation of water. So usually about day 5, which is about right now, I need to dump it out. I usually water my plants with it and then put it back. It lets out condensation into those bottles. Okay, the top of it is interesting because it has a dial here, and I'll show you by turning it on. It goes up to as high as 6 liters per minute, and you can have it down as low as actually 1/4 of a liter per minute. I'll put it back to 0 so I don't waste it. And it has a little indicator that you can find out how much is left. So I have quite a bit left for a few more days, and this one is the same. It's exactly the same. So I'm on 7.5 liters per minute. So because it's on 6, it doesn't really work out. So they have this really good setup here. I'll try to get closer. What they do is they put 1 tube to each tank, and they hook it to a Y. And then my long cord, I have a 25-foot cord, gets hooked up to that and then to my cannula. And so what I do is I put one of the tanks I put on 5, and the other tank I put on 2.5 to get 7.5 liters per minute. And then every day I switch it back and forth. So one day 1 tank's on 5 and 2.5. The other day it's 2.5 and 5, just so that they drain separately, evenly. So that's what my liquid oxygen is like, and I really like it. I have in my blog, of course, why I really like liquid oxygen better than either the cylinders or the concentrator. But it's really good to have both. I feel secure knowing that if there's a power outage, I have liquid, and if for some crazy reason the liquid starts malfunctioning, that I have the concentrator as a backup. So that's what I wanted to show you. I'm going to show you one more thing. Okay, so this is the connector between the 25-foot cord that I have hooked up to the liquid tank and my 7-foot cannula. And I buy these online. The oxygen company does not provide them, but they actually swivel. And so rather than just being one solid piece. And the reason that that's helpful is that I don't get as many, it all tied up in knots and all of these kinks and problems. Because as I move around, it's not perfect, but as I move around, it actually swivels. And so I don't get as much tangling of my cord. So those are the kind of things that I have for oxygen use. So I hope that that was helpful. I hope just being able to see some different types of oxygen equipment that I have at home is helpful to you, and that you're able to see, okay, that's what that looks like, and that's what that sounds like, and I just hope that that's helpful to you. So I write a blog every week at pulmonaryfibrosisnews.com, and I write about practical things and ways to be kind and compassionate with yourself. And in fact, my blog is called Just Breathe, Compassionate Help for the PF Journey. So as a patient and a counselor, I kind of try to combine those two experiences to provide really real, honest, and practical help as we negotiate this incredibly difficult disease. So I hope this is helpful to you. I encourage you to check back next week, because I'm going to be covering portable oxygen options. And I have learned from the School of Hard Knocks on that one as well. So I'm hoping that my experiences will be helpful. I know they're not complete. I know I don't know everything that you know. And so I would love it if you left your comments below on the blog, so that we can just learn from each other. Because you know what? We're all doing the best we can, and we're in this together. So thank you for tuning in, and I just hope it's a help. And many, many, many blessings to you. Alrighty. Goodbye.